Few roads to success are as rocky as the one through the world of popular music. Often it's not so much the music that clinches the lucrative recording contract, but a new idea or being different. One British music critic recently referred to the Jeff Healey Band from Toronto as a public relations man's dream. Its musical driving force, Jeff Healey, is not only an astonishingly talented musician, he's also young, gifted, and blind, and he's just been nominated for a Grammy. As the title song from his hit record suggests, Jeff Healey can really see the light. The Marquee Club in London's famous West End, home to some of the toughest rock and roll music critics in the world. Hundreds of curious fans braved the icy night for tickets to see that hot new guitar wizard from Toronto, Canada. Inside, a little last-minute fine-tuning on stage. London's rock concerts are as carefully orchestrated as the legendary theater productions playing a few blocks away. Jeff Healey may be a comer in North America, but can he live up to his growing reputation here?
All the way there's no more tickets available tonight. No more tickets available.
Despite a lengthy wait, many disappointed fans will be turned away. This, their only glimpse of the 22-year-old sensation at the crossroads of fame and fortune.
From Canada, BMG Arista recording artist, the Jeff Healey Band.
For the 800 fans lucky enough to get in, Jeff Healey's magical guitar blew them away. It was a splendid performance for the tiny Canadian band, a transatlantic triumph for urban planner turned drummer Tom Stephen of St. John and Toronto bass player Joe Rockman. But when Jeff Healey cut loose with his electrifying blues, he totally bewitched his audience. They'd never heard anything like it before or seen it played quite this way. According to some of the world's biggest blues superstars, Jeff Healey has revolutionized the guitar. In fact, he's just been nominated for a Grammy for Best Instrumentalist. After the show, fans brought in their own verdict.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Totally brilliant. I haven't seen anything like it for 10, 15 years.
It's a long time since I've seen a reaction like that amongst London audiences, which can, be a bit cool. They've seen it all before.
David Sinclair reviewed the concert for the influential Times of London.
I would say there haven't been that many debuts this year by foreign national acts that have had that sort of impact. I would say that he certainly sticks out in my mind as the debut of the year in London.
Jeff Healey lost his eyesight to cancer at the age of 1. He fell in love with music as a toddler and by the age of 6 was performing publicly, already hooked on the lure of the limelight. Even in those early days, his extraordinary musical talent was evident. Today, Jeff shares his music and his life in Toronto with Kim Gallagher, a classically trained musician. And while he says he doesn't know where his musical gift comes from, he believes it has always been with him.
I have no idea if it was inherited. I've never checked back on the whole inheritance thing, as I was adopted at 3 months. So, I think that sort of thing has to be inherited, but it takes the right upbringing to put it into play. And I was fortunate to have parents that never stifled me from doing anything.
He has an incredible ear. He has an incredible sense of style, of musical style. Incredible.
Don Strathty was Jeff's high school music teacher. Jeff was always the first student to arrive for class and the last to leave. A musician determined to be the best and be the star.
He was our secret weapon. And every year, he was the top guitarist while he was at school.
But he liked to ham it up. He liked to get up and shake around.
He loved to get up and dance in the back row. Every morning I'd say to the rhythm section, "Whoa, slow down, guys. This isn't a dance show. Sit down and play." And he'd get the other guys worked up.
But he's still doing it.
Sure, sure.
The band's debut album, See the Light, quickly turned gold and is just 2,000 short of platinum. Jeff recalls how after 3 hard years playing bars across the country, he went to the Canadian record industry to cut his first album.
A guy who shall remain nameless, from a company that shall remain nameless, said, look, it's very simple. He said, you're a great act, but you are destined to play in the bars because that's as far as your music is going to go, because you have no commercial ability. You know, there's already people out there doing what you do. There's George Thorogood and Stevie Ray Vaughan, et cetera, et cetera. And they're not, you know, he said, they're not in the top 40 or anything like that. So, I mean, how can you expect, you know, anybody to take a chance on you? So, you know, have a good time playing the bars.
Undaunted, the band went south to New York. Armed with $2,000 flash money and a stack of videocassettes, drummer Tom Stephen eventually hit the mother lode.
I sat in more offices and waited, and people walk in and walk out. And eventually you just go up to them and say, here, take this. I had one guy tell me he's going to phone the cops. I mean, it reached the point by the third day that I was coming home saying, the money's gone and nothing happened. And the very, very last day, in the morning, 9 o'clock, about 9:15, I was just getting up, and the first phone call came through. It was the first call, and after that, about 8 calls in a row. People not only interested, but going to send their limousine over to pick me up.
Since then, the band has grown accustomed to the limousine lifestyle. Because of their New York hustle, they've signed an incredible deal with America's prestigious Arista Records to produce 9 albums. At Chicago's and Toronto, a favorite haunt, the boys talk business and how to keep tight financial control over what looks like a very golden future.
From east to west coast?
If we're going to match ourselves, then we need a proper infrastructure to support us when we're on the road and when we're making decisions and when we're even, you know, in our home base.
Grossman's Tavern. It's a legendary hangout here on Toronto's seedy Spadina Strip where some of the best and the brightest blues and jazz musicians around drop by for jamming sessions. Jeff Healey's been coming here since he was a teenager, and he says it was instant musical chemistry 4 years ago when he first played with a young drummer, Tom Stephen. That marked the birth of the Jeff Healey Band, and when he's in town, you'll still find him inside Grossman's making music. But not the kind of music he normally plays for his commercial audiences. This is pure Dixieland, part of an ongoing love affair he's had with jazz and blues since he was a kid. It's a passion he indulges during quiet moments at home, listening to his idol, Louis Armstrong. This record is just part of Jeff's huge collection of 78s, featuring vintage blues and jazz from the 30s and 40s. He's cataloged every album himself and claims to know where every single record is, so we put him to the test. What can you tell me about that one?
Well, you've unfortunately embarrassed me. You've pulled out a Mercury, by the looks of it, by a vocalist, Frankie Lane, and I'll keep his stuff from the 40s. He became a very popular vocalist in the 50s with a lot of stuff, but did some nicer stuff, in my opinion, in the 40s, so I'll keep some of that. And good afternoon, I'm Jeff Healey, and this is the Jazz and Blues Hour, which comes your way every Thursday on CIUT from 1 until 2.
In fact, Jeff is a recognized authority on that era of music, and whenever he can, he likes to spin a few platters and chat over the airwaves at the University of Toronto. But this is the public Jeff Healey you're more likely to see. Tonight, a frenetic finale to a sellout crowd of 1,000 adoring fans at a concert in Mississauga, Ontario. It's still a little overwhelming after a performance these days, but the band is learning to cope with the adulation and the autograph seekers. Backstage tonight, there's a very special guest, Jeff's father, Percy. A firefighter by day, he admits a few years ago he thought his son should be a lawyer.
That was for his background, something to fall back on. But maybe he's not going to need it.
You know, the world of rock music is a tough one. It's fast, and you got groupies and drugs, it's dog-eat-dog. Do you worry about that part of it?
Yep, sure do. It would be a shame for him to lose what he's done because of particularly drugs or things like that, you know. That would bother me. And I don't know whether I could do anything about stopping it or not, but, you know, he's 21, 22 years old. He's his own man.
Percy Healey doesn't have too much to worry about. Jeff's promised him his gold album for See the Light as soon as it goes platinum. That gold record means a lot to Jeff. The night he won it at the Toronto Music Awards, he had to turn down a gig on the Johnny Carson show.
We turned it down because, you know, because this commitment had been made, and we would be, well, there was a number of reasons behind it. We would probably be panned to death by the Toronto critics for going to
on the Johnny Carson show
instead of in our own town. So we thought about it and just decided that, you know, we'd rather keep our commitment. And as it turned out, it was a great night.
But can you believe, here's a guy who turns down the Johnny Carson show. What was their reaction?
They said that we were crazy, but we believed that if they really wanted us, they would come back, and they did. And we played a couple of weeks after that. We got the offer to play.
Hard on the heels of signing their big record deal, the band was whisked to Hollywood to feature in a movie with Patrick Swayze. They also played the musical score. You'll be able to catch them on the silver screen this summer. Jeff plays a role tailor-made for him, a blind guitar picker in a bar band.
Roadhouse.
Not bad for a young band that's only been together for 3 years. They've gone from the Big Apple to the big screen and beyond. 1989, they predict, will be a very good year.